Hey, how y'all doing? This is Mongo Slade, and today we're going to talk about two different gimmicks from Mr. Brodie Lee. But first, hit the like button and hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And once you've done, sit back and now let's think about two gimmicks from Mr. Brodie Lee. So Brodie Lee was debuted in the WWE as Luke Harper, the wild-eyed, crazy hatchet man of the Wyatt family. He was very quiet. He was very cerebral. He had a quiet charisma that he kind of looked like a psychopath that you might see in the woods, like a crazy snake eating man. Like he was really insane. Like Bray did all the talking and everything. All Luke had to do was stand there and look nuts, and he really did a good job of that. And he did such a good job of it. People started saying things like, "Oh my God, Luke Harper is so good." It was like this. It was like this thing I saw in film class, right? Where it was like this. It was just a picture of a guy staring at the screen. He had like a blank look on his face, and they would talk about how people project their emotions onto that guy, and so they would say like, "Look at him. He looks so cool. Like he's so deep. This actor is so good. Look at like the deepness of his eyes. Like the guy's not doing anything. Like the person who's watching him is projecting onto him. So people started doing that. People started like projecting that he was really good at, whatever it is he was doing. He's basically just not doing anything. And then when he started actually acting out and doing different things as Luke Harper, he was good. He was a good performer, solid wrestler. His gear was kind of limiting because he wrestled in jeans and a really sweaty t-shirt, and he was kind of overweight at the time. But he was really good. Like he was the workhorse of the Wyatt family. He could work better than Bray. He could work better than Rowan. He could work better than Strowman. So he was really good. And, he had a good. He had a when he separated from the Wyatt family for a little bit, he got to be the Intercontinental Champion. Great match with Dolph Ziggler at I forget TLC, I believe it was. They have a ladder match. It was very good. Then in his later years, he kind of he got caught up in this whole tag team with Eric Rowan, and then the whole thing of he wanted to leave, they didn't want to let him go, blah 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 blah. One thing led to another, and finally in 2020 he got his release, and he went to All Elite Wrestling where he was debuted as the Exalted One, Mr. Brodie Lee, which is essentially which I heard was a Vince McMahon parody. That he plays the character how Vince McMahon behaves or had behaved with him. And the Exalted One is supposedly like this really brutal warlord, kind of corporate, a little too corporate. But he's supposed to be like a cult leader, but he doesn't lead the cults. He just kind of like abuses people and talks down to them, which is fine. But he really just kind of seemed very generic in a way. He still had the sort of crazy eyes to him, but now he was expected to talk. He was expected to follow through with his threats and a lot of the things that he was saying and doing. He couldn't just look crazy anymore. And plus, they did things to make him look more presentable. For instance, they made him, pull his hair back and put it in a ponytail. He had regular wrestling gear, and it was kind of like you kind of humanized him a little bit, because what everybody loved about Luke Harper was the griminess of it. Sort of the dirtiness of it. Like he looked like a guy you may have seen working on a car in the swamp. Not knowing that this guy probably goes to, he probably talks about going to church. And his church is like a shack with like no windows. Like, and the pews are like handmade with like, and he's just kind of felt real down home. And that was sort of the character. And that's really what people kind of gravitated towards. And then you give us this Mr. Brodie Lee, which is, and then he's also doing comedy in some of these spots. So it didn't really make much sense. Now he did win the TNT championship in dominant fashion from Cody. Got to, run with that for a little bit before dropping it. But since he dropped the title, he really hasn't done much of anything. If we're being honest, he kind of hit a wall. And, now other members of the Dark Order are essentially more important than he is. He kind of took a big step back. And, this, not saying that couldn't change. It could always change. But for my money, I was already more of a fan of Luke Harper than the Exalted One. I still don't get the Exalted One. You know, this is what, 3 months, 4 months into the, maybe even longer than that, into the character, and I don't get it. I don't get if is the Dark Order supposed to be a corporation of sorts? Like, is the Dark Order a parody of the WWE? If so, shouldn't you act that out? Is the Dark Order a cult? Because if that's the case, how Brodie Lee approaches the character should be drastically different from the way that the character has been portrayed so far. He's supposed to be, you know, a cult leader, but that seems to be the confusion. Like, we're not sure if it's a fight club, is it a cult, is it a business, you know, or what is it supposed to be? I mean, it's like it's part everything at this point. It's like part business, because Brodie Lee's wearing a suit. He, at one time, he wanted to make everybody in the Dark Order wear suits, and then he kind of gave up on that. You know, he didn't enforce that rule anymore. And then it was kind of, you know, he never went into the cult stuff. So it was never like he was the divine leader, even though they did talk about him. They talked him up before he got there about, the Exalted One is coming. He's going to lead us and all that type of stuff, which made him feel like a big deal. But then when he got there, it's like, lead them where? They won the TNT title for a little bit, and then that was it. Like, they were job guys. They're still job guys. I mean, I don't know. But let me know what you guys think. You know, are you a fan of Luke Harper, or are you on board with Mr. Brodie Lee? I mean, maybe I'm biased, but I don't see the intrigue in Brodie Lee. I mean, you know, as Mr. Brodie Lee, I don't see the intrigue. As wild-eyed, insane, you know, sort of the quiet storm of Luke Harper, I enjoyed that. You know, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys later.